What is up, Frag fam? Corbin here again from Northwest Scent. So I kind of thought of like some different video ideas, and then one of them that really popped up to my head, and I was like, that could be interesting, I guess, just because, you know, I'm always talking to you guys about fragrances. I'm giving you kind of like my overview and my reviews of them, but maybe talk about stuff that I'm not familiar with, but stuff that I do want to talk about or own. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. So these are my top 5 fragrances that are on my to buy list, my want list, however you want to look at it. These are ones that I've been wanting to get for a long time, and then for one reason or another, I just have not been able to acquire them yet, but I do hopefully plan on doing so in the future. So if you guys want to find out what these 5 fragrances are and maybe why I want to pick these up so bad, then please stick around. But first, let's roll that intro. Alright guys, welcome back from the intro, and like I already said, this is going to be my top 5 fragrances on my want list, my to buy list. And again, I have not been able to get these for one reason or another. Some of these, they kind of produce in limited quantities at a time, so they release, you know, maybe a couple thousand bottles, and then they wait a couple of months before they do that again. And so when they sell out of those a couple thousand bottles, you really can't get it until, again, they have a new production cycle. Other ones are just very hard to find in general, especially discounted, and I do like to save money when I'm buying my fragrances, so at all costs I avoid paying retail. And again, some of these are very hard to find discounted, but it is still possible. And some of them, maybe you can get them easier, but I just haven't done it yet for some reason. You know, I've put them kind of towards the back burner, and I've tried to get other stuff. But again, these are all ones that I've wanted for at least a couple of months. So let's hop into the first fragrance. And I thought I should mention that this is not a rank list. I'm not putting these order in how bad I want them. The order is completely arbitrary, but kicking the video off here with the first fragrance we're talking about. This is coming from the house of Frederic Malle, and it is called Promise. Now, this is coming from a 4 fragrance collection. I don't know the exact name of the collection, but they're all Middle Eastern themed, and they have Arabic writing on the front. Now, again, this one's called Promise, and 3 of the fragrances from this collection are all priced the same, and they are extremely expensive. I want to say that the 100 mils retail for like $1,300 or something like that. It's a crazy expensive collection. This one is the most affordable. I think it's about $500, maybe $600 for the 100 mil. The 50 mils are definitely priced more accordingly, and that's the one that I'm after because these are supposed to be very powerful fragrances. Again, so we are talking about Promise here. Now, the reason this one really intrigues me is it's supposed to be kind of a boozy, woody, spicy apple fragrance, which sounds really intriguing to me. You get notes of green apple, pink pepper, there's rosemary in here. You get a couple of different rose notes, and then there is a little bit of castoreum and then some cypriol oil as well. So again, I've just heard about this thing talked about in numerous videos as well as on the Facebook groups, and it sounds really interesting to me. Again, you get a little bit of kind of this crisp, fruity apple. There is a boozy quality, almost kind of astringent, it's been described as, because there's no boozy notes in the note breakdown, but that's just kind of the vibe it gets off. And then again, spicy, woody, really intriguing to me. I do not own any fragrances from the house of Frederic Malle, although I have tried a few of them, and I definitely do want to dive into the house, and not just with this fragrance, but there are other ones that I want to get as well. But this is definitely at the top of my list for Frederic Malle, and definitely in my top 5 fragrances I do want to pick up going forward. Okay, so the next fragrance up on this list, this is one that I've tried numerous times, and I have almost pulled the trigger, I could probably say at least 5 times on getting this fragrance. Now, I am searching for the vintage bottle style for this fragrance, as a couple of years ago they did switch over bottle styles, and basically all the fragrances that came out in the original bottle style I own in that bottle style. So I'm kind of weird like that, you know. I like to have linearity in my collection, so if I can get everything in the same kind of presentation, that's what I go for. So this one is coming from the house of Creed, and this is Bois de Portugal, which, like I said, you know, I've tried this one numerous times. I do like it quite a bit. This is kind of a vintage aromatic kind of fougere style fragrance. You get lavender in here, there's bergamot, sandalwood, cedar, vetiver, and then some ambergris. Of course, you get that ambergris. It is a Creed fragrance. This one is extremely woody, very creamy and aromatic, not quite soapy, but it's a very creamy kind of fresh lavender. The bergamot does bring a brightness, and there is actually a nice little bit of sweetness in this fragrance as well, which I'm not really sure where that's coming from. But again, it's kind of just aromatic, woody, definitely takes you out into kind of the forest, very transportive, and it is one I want to get. And like I said, I want to get it in the 120 milliliter style bottle, because I could easily go get it in the 100 mil, but again, I'm trying to keep that kind of linearity in my collection. All the fragrances that were pre-2017 that came in the 120 milliliter size, I have them in that bottle style. So that's just something I want to keep going. Again, this is a really solid fragrance, definitely right up my alley. Hopefully I will get that one sometime during this year. Okay, so up next here at the number 3 spot, this is the fragrance that I think I can safely say that I've been wanting the longest time, ever since last summer. That's really when I first learned about it, and I decided I wanted to go ahead and get it eventually. Now, I was not able to try it until 2021, and I absolutely love it, so I for sure know I do need to get a bottle of this stuff. And this is also one of those fragrances that I was talking about earlier, where it comes out in limited production quantities. So they make, you know, however many bottles, and then when that sells out, you have to wait until the next production cycle. So this one can be kind of hit or miss as far as being able to find it. When it does pop up next, hopefully I will get it. So this is coming from the house of Roger Parfums, and this is Oceania. Now, again, I did try this one actually at Justin Copeland's. He has this, and it's a really solid fragrance. He kind of describes it as similar to Creed Arolfa, but just a little bit modern. He said even fresher and less oceanic, and I can definitely get behind that. To me, it did have a similarity. I found it to be a little bit sweeter and fruitier, and I definitely agree there's not much of like a watery oceanic vibe. There's no ambergris in here or any kind of sea salt note or like, you know, ocean accord giving you a salty, watery feel. You know, this one is mostly fresh, floral, very uplifting and vibrant. There is a little bit of lavender in here as well, which lavender is one of my favorite notes. Every time it pops up in a fragrance, I just think it makes it that much better. So this is definitely one that I do need to get in my collection eventually. And like I said, you know, this one is a Raja. It is quite expensive and it can be harder to find. This is one that they do, again, bring out in limited production quantities. So hopefully I will get this one eventually, you know, hopefully before the end of the year. Again, this is one that I really want a lot. So that is the fragrance here at the number 3 spot. Okay, so up next here at the number 2 spot, this is supposed to be an aromatic fougere or barbershop fragrance. I have not tried it yet, but again, that's what people say it's like. This is absolutely one of my favorite genres in fragrance, if not my favorite. Additionally, before we get into the fragrance real quick, I just did a top 20 aromatic fougeres list and I ranked the fragrances. I split it into 2 parts with 10 fragrances per part. If you guys missed either of those videos or both of them, I will try and link those above. Definitely check them out if you're into fougeres as well. Anyway, with that out of the way, the fragrance we're talking about here at the number 2 spot, this is coming from the house of Penhaligon's, and this is The Tragedy of Lord George. Now, if you look at the note breakdown, I don't find it revealing to how it's supposed to smell, again, based on what people describe, because people describe this as an aromatic fougere. If you look at the note breakdown, it has woody notes, brandy, tonkamine, and then some amber. So if you look at the note breakdown, you would think this would be a dark, woody, kind of sweet, spicy fragrance, but a lot of people describe this as kind of a creamy aromatic fougere fragrance, very old school, again, like the shaving foam, you know, kind of clean smelling. So that's kind of interesting how the note breakdown just shows this. Maybe they're doing this kind of just as a way to deflect cloning. I'm not entirely sure, but from what I've heard about this fragrance, it's supposed to smell absolutely amazing. I've actually almost picked this one up. I placed an order through Nose Paris. Now I was on a wait list for the fragrance, but they said they weren't going to get delivery until like August or something. So I ended up just canceling that order. Maybe I will get it again later in the future, but this is definitely one I do want to pick up. Okay, so we finally made it to the number 1 spot, and here I put a designer fragrance. Again, this is not a rank list, but this is a designer that actually has been discontinued, which is why I have not picked it up yet at this point. You know, for the most part, designers are priced much more affordably, so if there was anything that I'd been wanting, I probably would have been able to acquire that by now. Again, this one is very hard to find, and you know, with that, it has an extremely high price tag. So this is coming from the house of Yves Saint Laurent, and this is Noble Leather. So I don't really know much about this fragrance at all, I'll be honest. It's of course a leather fragrance. The notes are leather, dried fruits, vanilla, patchouli, and amber. Many people have described this as one of the best leather fragrances around, and leather is another one of my favorite notes, and I really like leather fragrances a lot. Being a hidden gem, you know, I've really had a hard time finding this one, but if it does ever pop up, it's definitely something I will try and jump on. Of course, if it's priced accordingly, I'm not going to be dropping like $500 on some discontinued partial of a, you know, designer fragrance. But again, this is one that priced accordingly, I definitely want to get in the future. And if any of you guys know about this fragrance or know somewhere where I can pick it up, definitely let me know. You know, hit me up on Instagram through DM or message me on Facebook. This is absolutely one I want to pick up. Well, there you guys go. That was my top 5 fragrance once. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section down below. Are there any fragrances that you guys are after? Again, the whole point of this video was not unrealistic expectations. This isn't me putting out, you know, top 5 fragrances that are super crazy expensive and that I fantasize about picking up, but I probably never could. These are realistic goals of mine to hopefully acquire eventually. And again, I would be curious if you guys have anything that's the same down below. Overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys did, I would really appreciate dropping a like just to show your support, and then that way more people can see my videos on YouTube. Additionally, if you want to write a comment, maybe just letting me know your thoughts, as well as some new video ideas or topics, that would be great too. And since you're down there doing all that stuff, if you've not already, if you could hit the subscribe button and then the bell notification, that would be amazing. That way you stay up to date on new videos whenever they get released going forward. But with all that out of the way, that's all I really have for you guys today. So I hope you have a good one. Stay healthy, stay wealthy, and smell great.